Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Coach Adam's Bikini TV. Today we are reviewing 3 shows that happened over the weekend where this guy showed up at my office and Ashley Kaltwasser gets pro win number 35. What a crazy weekend. Let's jump right into it. What do you say? Hey guys, another amazing weekend in IFBB Pro Bikini. Some awesome things to note, some really cool changes I liked that happened with the winners. We had Ashley Kaltwasser winning the Sasquatch with pro win number 35. Amazing, record setting, the most winning ever. Pro win number 35. When will she stop? I hope never. Of course, I'm biased on that. We had Ivana winning at the LENDA Murray, which she was not on the entry list. If you look at that LENDA Murray show list that came out, there was 12 girls on it. It ended up with 16. Everyone was sending me that list. They're like, man, this show only has 12 girls. This show only has 12 girls. And the next thing you know, some tier 1 athlete like Ivana jumps in last minute and takes the W there. Hey guys, if you're a pro bikini competitor, don't look at show lists thinking you should enter a show at this time of the year because it's going to be easy because there's not a lot of people. There is no such thing as an easy pro show this close to the end of the qualification to the Olympia. Everyone is shooting for their spot. Points are becoming a factor now. Everyone's trying to get there. And so you're going to see a show that has maybe 8, 10 people in it all of a sudden jump to 20 within a few days if that show list comes out. So don't bank on that show ever being an easy one, not this time of the year. We also had the Yamamoto Pro overseas where Ruki won her pro show and got her qualification to the Olympia. Was that the right decision? Let's give it a breakdown. First off, let's go ahead and go into the Sasquatch Pro. I think that the Sasquatch Pro was a really great show, and honestly, the judging this weekend at the Sasquatch Pro was awesome. I thought it was a really great judging, and that's not just because Ashley won. I honestly think that it was a great decision for the judges because it could have been pushed in different directions if they were going with the more muscular girls, the leaner girls. But this, I feel like, it was an obvious line drawn saying, hey, this is where we're at. We're going to go with bikini glutes. We're going to go with bikini conditioning. We're not going to push it any farther. I'm really happy with the decisions that were made with the judging there. I think it was exactly where bikini should be. Now, if you look at the top 2 girls, you look at Ashley and you look at Daraja in the top 2, they have a very bikini conditioning. They have, what you would call bikini glutes, where it's not too much muscle, it's not too much density. It still has what I call that pretty muscle, okay? So pretty muscles, that muscle that's not grainy and dense and not overly conditioned and is still in what you would see bikini glutes. I don't want to see glutes that look like they could be in wellness. If you could take a bikini girl from the back, put her in a wellness lineup, just in the pictures, put her in the wellness lineup and she doesn't stand out, well then you probably are looking at wellness glutes in a bikini division, right? So very happy with how the judging went for bikini. Sandy did an amazing job there, and I think she said, hey, this is where we want to be. But easily, you could see this happening at other shows with other judges where they would be impressed with maybe more muscle or more density or more conditioning, but more isn't always better. And that's where I think people are still getting confused about, and that's why I'm really happy with having these talks lately about, is more muscle better? Is more muscle still bikini, or is it just more muscle, right? And so we keep hearing these conversations about people filling out their frames and filling out their frames. Well, understand, in bikini, filling out a frame isn't necessary, right? We're not talking about filling out a frame. Filling out a frame means you've filled out the frame with as much muscle the frame can handle, and now you're talking, figure, women's physique, that type of thing. Bikini is a fitness model division. It is not about maxing out the frame with muscle. It's totally different. So I'm really happy with how they went with the pickings. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at them and go from here. Now, first off, let's go into the winner, Ashley Kaltwasser. Now, we had some awesome feedback from the judges. Tarek said that this is the best look Ashley has had so far.
You had the Sasquatch as a trophy. Ashley Kaltwasser wins the event. I think this was her best look in the last 2-3 years. She was just perfect. That was the best Ashley I've seen in a long time. And I think her posing was also pretty good. If I was gonna give one feedback to Coach Adam and Ashley, is this is the look. This is the most dangerous look in terms of attacking Jennifer Dory and attacking Lauralee Chapados. Congratulations, Ashley Kaltwasser. She is winning everything. She is dangerous, guys. She can make it happen. I'm telling you right now.
So great feedback from Tarek. I'm very happy to hear that feedback. And now I think it's very important to note about that feedback. What we need to break that down a little bit from Tarek. Now understand, Tarek is no regular judge. He's not some guy that's going to be just happens to be their type of judge to fill a judging chair. He is a head judge. He is the head judge probably, I mean, he's probably getting up there with head judging more shows than anyone at this point. I mean, he's probably like number 3 in terms of head judging, just behind like Sandy and Steve or something like that, somewhere in that range. So tier 1 judge will probably be the Olympia panel. What is he saying, right? He's saying Ashley in this shape is the best Ashley that there's been. So I do think that there's some talk at the upper levels about the bikini division getting too big, getting too hard, getting too dense, and definitely getting too lean, because this look on Ashley is not her leanest look. Okay, this is the first time we've gotten feedback from Tarek saying, bring this look to the Olympia. And if you look back at prior pictures, you look back at prior showings, she is not her leanest here. Okay, so I think it's important to note she's a little fuller here. We carved her up a little bit harder than normal, to the point where it wasn't super comfortable. You know, it was like, okay, well, she's a tiny bit soft, and we pushed the limits a little bit on this prep. Now, do I personally think it's her best? I think that she can come in a little bit, I think she could still come in a tiny bit fuller. I think we can get her waistline a little bit better, a little bit sharper. That's something that we're known for, is bringing in her waistline super, super sharp. I think that's the only place that we could be a little bit better with still bringing in similar conditioning. Now, we have the UK Arnold in 2 weeks. That show is going to be a throwdown, and this weekend really set up the UK Arnold. We have Ashley and Ivana going into the Arnold UK. Definitely some of the front runners that'll be probably in that first call out at the Arnold UK. Those two will go head to head. They've gone head to head before, and it's gone both ways. So there's a lot of factors here. They're both traveling from the US. Will they be holding water? Will they be their best? Will they be able to adjust with the time schedule? Will they be able to adjust with the food schedule? This weekend really set up momentum for both Ivana and for Ashley going into that UK Arnold. So going to be an exciting one. And the good news is about the Arnold UK is Allison looks like she is going to be competing. She's had a little bit of health issues recently, and so I'm really happy that she's doing better now. Just some stomach issues that has been preventing her from being sure about doing the Arnold, and it looks like, as of her post as today, it looks like she's posting, I'm at 1.5 weeks out now, which puts us at the Arnold UK, which is really exciting because Allison's had an amazing physique, and I'm just waiting for her to come in right to shock the whole world. Now, going back into the showing, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Ashley. Now, Ashley has everything that we need. She has the pretty muscle. Let's go ahead and look at her legs. You're not seeing the density of her legs being crazy. You're not seeing striations in those legs. You're not seeing crazy detail. That is not what bikini is. Look at the hamstrings. There's no separation on those hamstrings there, but you have great roundness, great fullness. Look at the tie-ins. The tie-ins are full tie-ins. They do completely connect, but they are not striated. You're not seeing the striations in the glutes. You're not seeing deep, crisp tie-ins. And the density isn't crazy over the top where you would say, okay, maybe she's in a wellness competitor. Look at the back of Ashley. She's really improved on her shoulders. The shoulders have gotten better. There's more overall width to the shoulders. Her posing has gotten better, even Tarek has said. And she is looking really good. She is getting ready for the Olympia, and I think that she is on pace now, and the trajectory is there for her to have her best showing at the Olympia. I think it's going to be her best showing. I think she's going to have a real shot this year to shock the world. Now, looking at Daraja, I do think that Daraja had another really good showing. I think that Ashley and Daraja were both not 100% at their best. Tarek is saying that Ashley's at her best here, so that tells me a lot about her fullness, and we need to bring her in fuller. But I think we can still bring her in this full, but still be a little bit tighter, just in some key areas and in that waistline, like I talked about. I think that Daraja had a similar thing. I think that her fullness was there, but I think her conditioning could have been just a little bit better. Her waistline looked a little bit bloated out. I think that maybe she was carb loading. I don't know her scenario. She's got an awesome coach, but I don't know if the scenario was maybe she just didn't absorb all those carbs or ate too much the day of the show or the day before, or digestion was off. But her waistline doesn't look like the typical Daraja waistline in this show. Her glutes also look to be a little bit softer than they were. I don't know what the scenario is. It's hard for people to go show to show. I didn't see her on the list as well, so she might have jumped into this show last minute. Ashley also jumped into this show. We were thinking about it. We weren't sure. She decided on Monday she was going to jump into this show, and then Daraja also jumped into this show, I believe, later on in the week. So I don't know if that was a scenario of it, of what's going on there, but I do think that this is both Ashley and Daraja being just 95% of their best in terms of all the factors. But really happy I got the feedback from Tarek that tells me that I need to keep pushing the overall fullness, and I really like Daraja's fullness. I think that she can be fuller with just a little bit smaller waistline. Now, going into third place, we had Marie Eve, and I think that she had an awesome physique, and I honestly think she'll be at the Olympia this year. I think if she keeps going, she'll win one pretty soon. I do think that there was a couple factors that were keeping her from placing a little higher. One, getting past Ashley and Daraj is going to be hard no matter how good you are. That's going to be just a tough task to handle. But looking at her overall physique, she's got good balance, she's got good overall conditioning. I do think that it's just a tiny bit too much in the glutes, a tiny bit too much detail in the glutes, and a tiny bit too much density in the glutes and fullness. Remember, we're trying to keep it bikini glutes. So when you're at a smaller show and you have glutes like this and you have tie-ins like this, you're going to do very well. When you get to the Olympia level and you look so much different than the Jennifer Dorys, and when they're coming in just a little bit softer, and the Ashley Kaltwassers and the Maureen's, that's where you're going to get hurt, because the difference is when you look at the top 5 at the Olympia and their glutes and tie-ins versus the remaining group, you usually see a pretty big difference, and usually people are overshooting. So that's what I would say is just a little bit of an overshooting on those glutes and on tie-ins. Amazing physique though, but I do think that is probably what held her back from moving up a couple spots. Now, going on to the next show, going on to the LENDA Murray, we have Ivana Eskandar, my buddy, you can call her Ivanita, in winning the show. And Ivana is a real threat this year at the Olympia. She's gaining momentum. She first came over here to the United States and started doing shows. She wasn't doing so well. She was doing really well overseas. She came over to the United States and she wasn't doing that great. She was getting top 5s, but she wasn't winning shows like she was overseas. So this show, she jumped into it, looks like last minute, ended up with the W, and honestly, she looks great here. She looks really, really good. Now remember what we talked about, that bikini muscle. We're talking about pretty muscle, okay? We're not looking for bodybuilding muscle. So for all you bodybuilders out there that keep saying they want to see leaner and denser and more separated, more strided, remember that is not bikini. We're not trying to fill out the frame entirely on bikini. We're trying to have pretty muscle. Fitness model look with that effortless bikini look, okay? That effortless, I'm just going to the beach day look. Now, obviously, we're pushing it past that point a little bit, and I've been talking about bringing it back to more of the fitness model division, which was originally designed. But with this look here, I am super happy with it. I think that she has that perfect balance of softness, of fullness, of conditioning. Everything's there. Her waistline on this time is pretty crazy, I will admit. I think she nailed her waistline. That is a really good waistline without being over the top grainy. You're not seeing the oblique striations. You're just seeing a great tapered waistline, great glute ratios. And the thing is about Ivana, she looks really good from the front too. A lot of these girls that have glutes, you'll only see them looking good from the back. Once they hit their pose, they'll have good tie-ins or deep tie-ins, but they have no front profile glute. A lot of these girls are hiding their profile glute with their hand in front of their glute in that front pose when they don't have it. But Ivana has that profile glute. She's got a very great shape. Her shoulders, if you look at her shoulder to waist to hip ratio, it's great. There's a little bit of detail in her legs, but not too much separation. Her legs are thicker, I do think, because she's a little bit shorter. She has a little bit more bubbly muscle, but she is not to the point where I'm saying her quads are too crazy or quads are too big. I have said that lately this year, that some of these girls' quads are getting too big. I think that she's pushing the limits on everything. I don't think any more muscle on her is necessary, and there's not too much to correct here. And that's why she's going to be a tier 1 competitor. I do think that this year she'll be in the top 10 at the Olympia. It's possible she'll even be in that top 5. She is really looking awesome, and this sets up a lot of problems for everyone going to the UK Arnold, including myself with Ashley. She is going to be a real threat there, and this went, basically, she took her momentum. She said, I see a chance, I see an opportunity. There's only 12 girls in this show. I'm going to jump in last minute and gain some momentum going into the UK Arnold and give them something to talk about, and she absolutely did. So, looking absolutely great. Now, coming in second place, Jessica Dexter, awesome showing. To be honest, I think, it would have been her show if Ivana didn't show up. That's just the reality of things. Jessica looked awesome. There's not much to correct there. If I was her, I would say keep going. Her shape is beautiful. If you look at her rear delts and her shape, her rear delt shape, you see how it's like the width of it? It does have some striations on it. It has more striations than Ivana. When you look at Ivana's rear delts and you look at Jessica's rear delts, you're going to see Jessica's rear delts are, in fact, a little better. They're a little rounder. They're a little wider, right? Again, another scenario where in a bodybuilding contest, you would have Jessica winning because of the conditioning of the width of her shoulders, the conditioning, the separation and detail on her shoulders, the striations in the shoulders. But in bikini, that's not what wins things. And that's why I'm really happy about this weekend, because judges really did a good job with picking the best bikini physique, not just the best bodybuilding bikini physique, where a little bit more detail is impressive. And I admit it, I have a hard time with it too. when I'm seeing these bikini girls on stage and I see a girl with a little bit more and a little bit more detail and a little bit more this, because I grew up bodybuilding. And a lot of these judges grew up bodybuilding too. Most of the judges are like ex-male bodybuilders, right? So they get impressed with muscle and they get lost in the division and they see these muscles and they're like, oh, that girl's a little better. That girl's a little better. But then it goes past bikini, right? So this weekend was probably my favorite weekend this year, where they picked bikini girls because they had the option of picking more muscle, more density, more conditioning, more detail. But they chose the fitness model look. And they didn't just do it in bikini, but they did it in men's physique. So I was super happy about that. Let's go ahead and look at Tarek giving another rundown of men's physique.
Antoine Witherspoon wins the event. Small waist, everything was balanced. And there was a lot of guys bigger than him. A lot of people talk about the men's physique guys getting big. He was one of the smallest guys on the lineup, but he was balanced, he was conditioned, the waist, the V-taper, the separation, everything was there. Congratulations, great event in San Diego.
So I think that this weekend was an amazing weekend for the IFBB. You know, they went with not the biggest guy on stage. I looked at those competition pictures really closely. There was a guy in the first call. I was like, oh, don't tell me he's going to win. He's huge. And he ended up getting, he didn't get the top 5. And so I was like, wow, you know what, they're really structuring it. I think they're listening to the audience. I think they're listening to everyone and saying, hey, we're going to go back to that fitness model division, what it's supposed to be. And they went with the smallest guy in men's physique, which is crazy, right? This is awesome. This is what everyone's wanting to hear. Say, hey, keep the men's physique, fitness model divisions, what they're supposed to be. And the judges look like they're listening to everyone and they're picking the right pick. So I was really, really happy with the judging this weekend. You guys did an awesome job. And that was Steve, who judged that show, who's typically known for picking muscle. You know, Steve's an old school bodybuilder too. He likes muscle. So that's an awesome job he did. He's been killing it with the judging. He's got a terrific eye. So I was super, super happy with this weekend, not just in bikini, but in men's physique and how the picks were going. So now let's head overseas to the Yamamoto Pro. First, I want to give a quick recap with what Tarek said about the winner here.
She softens up a little bit. She can be a little bit fuller on the Olympia stage. She can make an impact. So just soften up the physique. The angles are perfect. The small waist is there. We just need to come in a little bit fuller.
More good feedback, right? We're getting more good feedback. When have we heard this before? When have we heard about the judges saying soften up in bikini? When have they been saying that? They haven't been talking about it much, you know, about softening up, but look at who they're picking now. Look at who they picked this weekend. Look at how Tarek's talking about the winners being coming in a little bit softer. I think they're drawing a line in the sand here, guys, and they're saying, hey, you know what? We're keeping bikini. We're not going to let it go too far. There's been a couple times this year where maybe we went a little bit too far, where the girls were a little bit too hard and we kept pushing. But here's our line in the sand. We are going to go a little softer. The tier 1 judges are saying, hey, you know what? Bikini's bikini, men's physique, and let's not get lost in the muscle, which I'm super happy about. I think judges, awesome job you guys are doing out there and restructuring that and making sure we're drawing the line in the sand there with what bikini is and what bodybuilding is, what men's physique is, and what bodybuilding is, because all those guys are looking like bodybuilders right now in board shorts. So super happy with it, but it's awesome. And I agree with Tarek on this one. I think that she was a little bit hard. Honestly, I have someone else. Personally, I would have someone else winning this show. So I agree with Tarek, absolutely. I do think that Rookie was just a little bit tight. And let's go ahead and go into that. And let's go ahead and look at the theme of this weekend that we talked about. We talked about bikini, picking the right bikini physique, right? Not talking about being overly impressed with muscle, overly impressed with density, overly impressed with tie-ins and conditioning, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the top 3. And I'm going to tell you why my first place winner would have been Carrie, who was in 3rd place at this show. So let's go ahead and look at the winners here. You have here Rookie, and here is her back. Look, just a little bit too much detail in those hamstrings, just a little bit of separation, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. You see that separation all the way down? You see the graininess and hardness to the legs? I think it's just a little bit too much for bikini. That's also what Tarek is seeing. When you look at the top of the glute and this upper outer edge, you're seeing a little bit of striations in those glutes, a little bit of just detail. I want to put this line here. Where those lines are, you're seeing actual little striations in those glutes. You're seeing a full, very crisp tie-in, right? Now, remember, there's a difference between bikini and wellness, difference in bikini conditioning and not showing striations. So I do think that this physique went a little bit too far. I think that if she filled out a little bit more, it would help her physique. She would be fuller with muscle, she would be rounder, she would be not as detailed, and it would help her physique. Now, remember though, the girls are going to go and prep for what the judges are rewarding. So if the judges have been rewarding these full tie-ins, you know, it is going to be hard for them to not show up that way. So It's a two-part system. The girls have to show up a certain way, but then they have to be rewarded for it too. So when we look at Francesca, we have similar things. We have a really, really full tie-in. You know, we've talked about Francesca before. She has a little bit deeper of a tie-in on her right side than she does on her left, and that's something that is obvious when she's in her back pose. It's just a little imbalance on those tie-ins and on that glute development. It's just a little bit off. Right side is deeper than the left, and that's something that I think is going to be, you know, as we've getting leaner and leaner, is going to hurt her a little more. So I think if she was a little bit softer and the division went a little bit softer, like it looks like it might be trending, and we don't have to have these full tie-ins, that'll be advantage her. She'll have a huge advantage on that because you're not going to see as much of this deep lower detail being, you know, an inch higher on the left or so than on the right. Now, when we look at her overall detail from the back, you know, a couple things that we're not seeing. So we're not seeing on her shoulders, we're not seeing any striations like we talked about, right? The width is still there, but it's not overly there like it was there before. She brought her shoulders down a little bit over the years and is really not very much a bikini physique now. Even though she's got crazy good glutes, she's not showing any striations and details like in the winter, right? You see the striations up top. So I do think that if you were going to make the argument for these three, I would actually have Ruki personally as third place. I'd have Francesca still in second place, and I would have Carrie here in first. And now when you look at the back, you're like, how would you have her in first when these glutes over here are clearly better? Yes, I agree. Her glutes are better. They are more detailed, they are more dense, they are more striated. The fullness probably goes in the area of Francesca has the best fullness. But who has the best bikini glutes? That's the question, and we keep forgetting to ask that damn question. Who has the best bikini glutes? Not just who has the best glutes. If we're just talking best glutes, then Urishna can just jump into bikini and win every show. Because believe me, guys, Urishna has better glutes than all you girls in bikini. All of you. Not even close, right? But we're not talking about who has the best glutes. We're talking about who has the best bikini glutes, right? So let's take a look, right? The tie-ins are there. These glutes look a lot more like the winners that won this weekend when we talk about the tie-in. Look at Ashley's glutes. Go ahead and look back at Ashley's tie-ins and look at Carrie's tie-ins and look at whose are closer. Are Ashley's tie-ins closer to this, or are they closer to this, where there are still a full tie-in, but not deep tie-ins and deep striations and deep under V's on those striations on the glutes, right? So this is why I have her. She still has great fullness to her legs. There's still detail there. There's a lot of roundness to her hamstrings without being striations in the hamstrings, right? So here we have striations in the hamstrings. Here we have roundness and fullness in the hamstrings. Here, very, very deep glute detail. Here, glute signs of tie-in with a full tie-in still. But this is past just, so you have your signs of a tie-in, right, which is just that V that doesn't connect. You have that slightly connecting V, which is a full tie-in, which is what she has. And you have your full deep tie-in, which goes past bikini, which is here. So I would have it in a different order personally if I'm sticking to bikini criteria. Now, as we talked about, I do think her presentation can be a little bit different. I think that her hair is a little bit blocking these shoulders on the side, not showing her overall width. On the left side, it's showing really good, but on the right side, I think it could be tucked a little bit more in. And I also think that the hair color really isn't helping her. There's not much contrast there. It's very close to the skin tone. So this hair color is very close to the skin tone, unless it's just the picture and the lighting isn't showing for me. But if you look up top, this kind of darker hair, it does blend a little bit. It doesn't create that pop and that wow factor. And I want to see you come out of the stage. I want to see your suit popping. I want to see your hair popping, your makeup, your tan good, everything. So that's a couple things that she could work on. But honestly, I think that this could have been her show. Now let's go ahead and go into the front shot and do a front shot breakdown of the Yamamoto. So a couple things to note. From the front, Ruki looks awesome. Her balance is great shoulder width, great lat width, tiny waistline. You are seeing some deep cuts in the oblique lines even from the front pose though, okay? One of the things to note, you want to have detail on the legs like you're seeing here, but you don't want to have this graininess to the whole leg. Let's take a look at that graininess on the leg here closely. And when you're looking at this leg, you know, remember what we're trying to have. We're trying to have fitness model muscle. We're trying to have that effortless beach look muscle without any deep cut striations, without any graininess to the leg. But to me, I'm seeing signs of graininess here. I'm seeing really hard legs, you know, and I think that this is a little bit too much. You're even seeing vascularity going all the way down the legs here. Let's take a look. The vascular, this here, I'm tracing just the vascularity going all the way down the legs. I mean, in bikini, remember, is vascularity down the quads a bikini beach look? I would say no. So I think just a little bit too far, and which is a huge advantage for her. She's already qualified for the Olympia. All she needs to do now is come in a little bit fuller, a little bit softer, and she's going to be even better for the Olympia. Now looking at all these girls, obviously all of them look incredible. But looking at the girls here, there's a couple things to note between all of them. So if I'm a judge here and I'm judging for no striations, I'm having a really hard time because all of them have striations, right? The judges can only judge based on who shows up. Now, looking at the 1, 2, and 3, from the front, if I'm ignoring striations completely in the quads, because all of them have them, you're seeing striations here on the quads, you're seeing striations on Francesca on the quads, who again, I think on Francesca's front pose is a little bit grainy, is a little bit too detailed, a little bit separated, and that's another reason I would have her in second behind Carrie based on those legs and the graininess alone. Now I will say, when she is completely full and she is full here, I do think her quads are getting to the point where they're a little bit big for bikini, and that's something that she's going to need to keep an eye on. So everywhere else from the front I think is absolutely great. I think that she's still really lean, and that is what we still should be shooting for in bikini, is still having a lean girl. I'm not saying go crazy soft like in 2010. I'm saying that harder look that's not overly over the top hard, where you're seeing that density and the striations and the crazy vascularity in the legs and things like that. So I love her overall conditioning, and I honestly think, man, if she just had different hair here, and you can really see it here when you look at the hair contrast to the skin here, how close that is to the actual tan. It's a shade or two away, and I think that does hurt in the overall presentation. Remember, in bikini, everything matters, okay? So bikini, it's your hair, your makeup, your tan, your posing, your suit. We haven't even gotten to the body yet. All those things matter, right? So very, very important, and I think that if she just fixes that, make sure that those legs don't get any bigger, maybe taper them down just a hair on the quad, she's going to be a real threat, and I can see her getting to the Olympia this year. So that is my take on things. I would have it different as a 1, 2, 3. I would flip that whole from 3. I'll go 1, 2, 3. That was 3, 2, 1, in my opinion. And I think that's the only show where they went a little bit hard this weekend. So 2 out of 3, sticking to the criteria 100%. I'm happy with that overall, and I'm happy with the way that everything's going this weekend. I'm happy with the line that was drawn in the sand, at least in the U.S. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoy. Should I do a breakdown for the UK Arnold? Even though I got a person in there and I won it last year? I'm a little biased. I want to win it back to back. Leave it in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys next time.